started. So let me really quick share my screen and let me know if you can see that okay. Should say hello. That's me. All right, guys. So this is my beautiful family. I wish I had the first picture that because I've done this for 5 years now. And the picture that I used to have is just me, and I think I only had 4 kids then. So now we're double now. But I've been educating children for over 15 years. I've worked in preschools, daycares, tutoring, and I also led a local learn to read class in my community center. I'm the senior director of Raising Raving Readers, and I love to help parents inspire a love of reading in their home. I wasn't always a big believer in reading, actually. I didn't know the impact that it could make. I just knew it was good to do, right? So I hope that you will learn from what I've researched and what I've found, and it will inspire you. So let's move on to the next one. Hi guys, welcome. Yeah, as you're popping in, just let me know where you're from and how many kids you have. I'd love to hear those things. And also, if you used to not believe in reading too, if you're the same as me, as you didn't understand how important it was, let me know in the chat. Okay, so it wasn't until my 4th child that I learned how huge reading could be for my kids. And it was when my son was born. He was born early, so he was a preemie. He spent some time in the NICU. After that, I knew he could possibly have some delays. So I researched a ton, you guys. I was a really busy mom, homeschool mom, and I knew that it was going to be difficult to manage taking him to all these different appointments and getting him the help he needed. And so I did my own research, and I tried to find a solution to make sure that he didn't get behind like I knew he might. And so one of my favorite books that I read was the Read Aloud Handbook. Wow, you guys, that changed my view on reading, and it just opened my eyes to how easy it can be to give your kids an amazing future and all the skills that they need to succeed in life. Okay, so if you want to learn like everything that I know, definitely read that one. And I'm going to share a bunch that I've learned too, and you can research that further. So my goal tonight is to help you turn your kids into raving readers. Now, your kids might already be a raving reader, and so if they are, this is just going to maximize the time that you have. I know you guys are busy, but it's going to maximize your time that you have with those kids that already love to read, okay? So how many of you want to raise a reader? Let me know in the chat. We have someone from Wisconsin, and they have 2 granddaughters. Welcome. Donna is from Boise. I know Donna. So Dawn, hi Dawn. And Becky's watching. Welcome, guys. Okay, so let's move on. The first thing I want to talk about is Finland. So Finland, before they implemented some of these strategies I'm going to tell you about, they were similar to the lowest countries, the lowest ranked in reading and math, okay? They had only 1 in 10 children completing 9 years of education. Were on the same levels as third world countries like Malaysia and Peru, and they were the low. Am I losing you guys? Sorry. Okay, did you guys hear that? So anyways, they were at the lowest levels of countries for education in reading and in math. And the economy was suffering and people were relatively poor. So that was Finland in the 1960s. Then after they implemented these strategies, let me know if you can guess what strategies they implemented. But after they implemented some of these strategies, they ranked in the top 5 in reading and math, both of them. Not only did they now they have the lowest child poverty rates in the world. They are voted the most stable country based on economy. And we know that they're a lot smaller than the US population, but the only state that even comes close to them is Michigan, and Michigan is 17th. So if you compare Michigan to the other countries in the world, there's only 17th. So Finland has far surpassed that. And they did very minimal to be able to do this. They have 100% literacy rate. They're one of the most stable countries in the world. Let's compare that to the United States. This is why I have this mission, you guys. Our country is suffering, and reading is a huge factor. So look at the statistic at the bottom. I think that was one of the biggest statistics that kind of like shocked me. Only half of the children in the US are read to. So 32 million adults are actually illiterate. So they cannot read simple sentences. They cannot follow directions. If they have to read it, they cannot follow directions. 64% of fourth graders read below level. Only 20% of eighth graders like to read. And reading for pleasure is declining every single year. Here's all the benefits that reading can do. We already talked about some of those. But just a little tip for you is when you're reading to your kids, you are learning about your child and they are learning about you. And that is going to follow them for the rest of their life. That opens the doors of communication and really helps your kids develop that trust and confidence in you and in the relationship. So I'm going to tell you a secret story I haven't told very many people. A long time ago, I think it was when I was going into middle school, maybe it was sixth grade, I was going to sneak out of the house and meet these boys in the middle of the night. And I was going to go, without anybody, just myself. So I was this little girl and I was going to go sneak out. And I think really what saved me is my mom had she just begged me to start reading with her, and we would take turns. So we were reading All Creatures Great and Small. And that's a pretty heavy book. I believe we started in fifth grade, and she continued to do it into sixth grade because it's a pretty long book. And that night that I was going to sneak out, I felt confident enough to come to my mom and to tell her that I was thinking about going and meeting these boys in the middle of the night. So thank God I did, right? Thank God I was comfortable talking to my mom about this, because otherwise I don't know what could have happened. But that night she stayed with me in my room and I did not sneak out. Let's just say that, right? But it was because of that communication, I felt really close with my mom. And the stories that we shared in that All Creatures Great and Small, the stories that you share really bond you together. It's like going through a real experience almost, right? And through that experience with reading aloud to her and reading and having her read aloud to me, it was like we had this special bond and I felt really comfortable with her. And that's what reading does. And that's almost more important than all these other things, is that it bonds you to your child and your child to you, and you share these special moments together and they feel that connection. So it's really, really important for the trust that your child has in you. So, beyond inspiring a lifelong learner, when we inspire a lifelong reader, it also develops that relationship with our child. So hopefully that impacts you on that story, because that's a little secret. Don't tell anybody. Janine used to be a floozy. But yeah, just a story that I have not told very many people. But I really think it was because my mom decided to read to me even after I could read on my own. And if more people did that, I believe that our country would be changed. And that's what they did in Finland. They decided to implement mandatory reading time both in the morning and in the afternoon. So one of those 30 minutes, they would read aloud to the children. And then in one of the other 30 minutes, so they broke it up. So it was actually an hour a day, but they broke it up into two different sections. And then the other 30 minutes, they had mandatory personal reading time. So you would just pick a book you want and read, and there was time for you to just read it. And that is the only thing that they implemented in order to have that vast improvement in reading scores and in also math scores. Because when you improve reading scores, you're going to improve all other aspects of learning, right? So how many of you are surprised that that's the only thing that they did? I'd love to hear. After they implemented those things, they had 9 out of 10 people graduating, or 9 out of 10 people completing 9 years of education. And all of those other things that I shared with you were improved. So definitely is something that we need to do more of, but we also need to be encouraging other people. And so that's why I love this reading challenge. So if you have someone that you feel like needs to be in this reading challenge, please invite them. There's a post where there's a really easy link that you can just click and then click share, and you can share about the challenge. So definitely do that because I feel like every parent needs to know these things about reading. Okay. So experts agree that reading to your children, even after they can read on their own, is one of the most powerful things we can do for our kids and for the whole country. Okay, so after implementing my strategies for raising a reader in the home, the things I shared at the challenge, both making a priority, coming up with some incentives, getting into a routine, all of those things, my kids are avid readers and learners. This is little Jonathan. He's only 2 weeks here, but now he's 9 years old and he can play chess. He is a math whiz. He's doing math like way ahead of his level, and his reading is great. So he's right on track. All right, so there's one more tip I want to share with you that's really, really important. It's the key to all of this. It sounds a little silly, but I'm going to share it anyways. And that is believing in your child. Really, guys, I know. You're like, Janine, I showed up for this, but your kids have a magical power. They really do. One night, my husband called my son up to his office, and my son, not Jonathan, but my son Colton, he's 11 now. But when he was little, he was like 4 or 5 years old. My husband called him to the office and said, Colton, come here. And Colton kind of thought he was in trouble. He was like, oh, going up there, tiptoeing into his office. And my husband whispered into his ear, he said, you are going to be a king someday. He said, you're going to be a king someday. And guess what Colton said? He was like, yeah. Like he believed him. He like knew that he was going to be, he knew that my husband would say that or something. I don't know. It's so funny. But then my husband was like, don't tell anybody. Do not tell anybody. It's a secret between me and you. And my son immediately runs down, and I hear his little feet like going like this, like runs. He runs into the kitchen. And he's like, Mom, Daddy said I'm going to be a king someday. And he believed him. So some of you might think it's really cute. You're like, oh, sweet. But it's not cute, actually. It's powerful. Kids have this inner confidence that can propel them to do things that adults are afraid to do. And sometimes the biggest problem we have is that we don't believe in them. We can't imagine that these little creatures who we, wiped in the bathroom are extremely intelligent, but they really are, every single one of them. They can learn a foreign language in their first few years of life without reading, without studying, without any special lessons. And also while learning a million other things, right? They learn how to crawl, they learn how to walk, they learn colors and shapes and how to navigate things. So we really need to believe in our kids, and we need to believe in ourselves. We need to believe that what we do as parents matters, because it matters so much more than we realize. Okay, so if you are saving this stuff for later, if you have a child under the age of 1, I want you to throw that thought out of your mind. Do not save this information for when your kids get older. If you have a baby, definitely start right away. Some people think, well, why should I be reading to my kids? They have no idea what I'm talking about. but you are getting them familiar with text and language, and the sky is the limit because they're so young, their brain isn't wired yet. And there's a story from the Read Aloud Handbook that just moved me to tears. This is why I love this book so much. There was a story of these parents, and they learned the importance of reading to their children before they were born. So they had their first daughter, and before she was even out of the womb, they decided to commit to reading 10 books a day to her. And unfortunately, she had some complications and she was born early, just like my Jonathan. She had to stay in the hospital for a very long time, but they decided to record themselves reading books to her, and they had the nurses playing it to her when they couldn't be there. For 7 years, they decided to reach Jennifer at every opportunity. When she reached the first grade, she was one of the best readers in her class. She had amazing vocabulary and consistently scored 100% on her reading tests. But this is a kicker. Okay, this is what got me about this story. Jennifer was actually born with Down syndrome. And at 2 months, the doctors told her parents that she would most likely be severely retarded. When she was tested at age 4, her IQ was 111. She ended up going on to graduate high school and even college, and she became an artist and a musician. So I just think of that story and I think, you guys, it sounds like a lot of books. It does. 10 books a day. That sounds like a lot. But if you think about it, she had Down syndrome. So if we are even reading a fraction of that to our children, the possibilities are endless, right? The sky's the limit for our child. And it doesn't have to be so hard. The app companies, they want you to think that it's so complicated to teach a child that you have to have all these flashy games, you have to have all these lights, you have to have, you have to keep them entertained, and you have to do all these things. But it's really so simple as opening a book and spending time with your child. That's what makes a difference. That's what they want you to believe, that you don't know how to impact your child. They want you to believe that you have to know all these special tricks because they want you to spend your money on their apps. And let me tell you, they are actually a lot more expensive than any books that you can buy, right? You're paying monthly, you're paying all these things, you're doing these little things. And then also on top of that, your child is getting addicted to the excitement of the game. And so that's really key, because once they get addicted to that constant entertainment and having to be stimulated in order to learn, it starts to get harder to learn because their attention span shortens, their focus can get sidetracked, and it takes a lot more to get them interested in learning. And so keep that in mind when you are purchasing apps or purchasing learning materials for your child. It's really important. Hi guys, definitely a surprise. Someone's from East Tennessee and 8 kids. Wow, awesome. 10 grandkids. That's amazing. Wonderful. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about those apps. All right, guys, let's move on. So books matter. Books really do matter. 500. So the children with 500 or more books in the home will go on to make $800,000 more in their lifetime than those who don't. So books really do build futures, and more importantly, book ownership. It's something about owning a book where the child gets really familiar with it, they feel more comfortable with it, and they're memorizing that information and it sticks with them. So book ownership really matters. And it's not just me telling you that. This is from the Department of Education. So it really is more important to invest in books now than it does to save the money for like in a college savings account, because they're going to your investment now is going to impact the quality of scholarships or the quality of education that they actually commit to, right? As they're growing. So definitely, if you are putting in a savings account, think about taking part of that and investing in learning materials like books and learning games and things like that now, instead of saving as much for them in the future, because it's going to be a bigger impact. Okay, so this is just a little tip. You should introduce new books as often as you get close. A lot of times we think about stuffing the mind with knowledge, and we don't think about how the body and the mind kind of work together, right? So as your children are growing, that is when the mind is also expanding and also ready for new material and new vocabulary and all those different things. So that's just a good rule of thumb to think about, is as your children are growing, think about investing in some new books for their mind as well. Okay, so if you're shopping for new clothes, think about putting a book or two in there. Okay, so that's where the Raising Raving Reader Book Club comes in. I hope it's okay if I share a little bit about the club. We have so many happy parents in it already that I have to share. It would be a disservice to you if I didn't. So really quickly, I'm going to just share about our book club. So here's one of our happy parents, Tamara. She says, my kids love the book club so much that every day they run to the mailbox looking for that package. I love unplugging for the next hour to read and relax together. Thank you, Janine, for serving us this way and making it such a fun experience. So here are the details about the Raise a Reader Book Club. I created this to really help you kick off a summer reading routine and give you that motivation that you need to be consistent, okay? Because when the box of books comes, it's hard not to set everything down and just read. So it's really a great thing to do to get consistent and to keep that excitement in your children's lives with reading. So the book club is a great incentive. So we talked about rewards at the challenge. This is a great incentive for children because it's just the right amount of excitement. It's also personalized to your children's interests. So it's not like just a set of books that they get. It is something that you get to choose for them that you know that they will like. And it's totally affordable. Plus, you're rewarding your kids with more chances to read. Okay, so here is another of our happy book club members. Joining this book club has been such a wonderful experience. The amount of books that have come into our house has really changed the way my kiddos look at books. The colors, the interactive aspects, and the learning. The variety we received will entertain us for years to come. Thank you, Janine, for all your help. I love that one. So fun. Okay, so this is what's included. It is personalized. So after you purchase or after you decide what price point is right for you, you get to personalize your club. You get an access to free printables, a free printable library. You get free shipping. So if you want to not just include your book club, but you can also request extra books, and that can be added to your book club for free shipping. So the shipping is wrapped into the cost. It gives you a great reading routine, and you can build amazing home library for less. All right, so time to invest, right? People are surprised by the issues we have in this country, but then they turn around and spend 5 times more on lottery tickets than they do on books, right? So they're thinking, oh, I'm gonna get rich quick, when they could just be investing in books for their child, and it'll make them $800,000 more across their lifetime, right? So instead of wasting your money on lottery tickets, buy some books and invest in your child. All right, so the book club package. So it includes 3 books each month to your home. And you'll find that these are going to be the most beloved books, all while saving time because you don't have to go to the store, and money, which because we have so many book club members, you get the discounted price. So oftentimes the price of the books combined is way more than you would actually spend in real life. So just for joining me tonight, you get $5 off, and you want to do that before the 15th. So after the 15th, I'm going to be raising the price to $5, obviously, so the coupon will go away. Okay, and are there any bonuses if you join today? Yes, there is bonuses, and I'll get to that in just one second because I have one more review, one more testimonial I want to share. This is Chris. This is a dad. And so if you have any dad friends that you know love to read to their kids, definitely let them know about this. he says, we got our new Usborne books. That we get these delivered every month, and I think they have been amazing. Real values and skill set building for your babies. I've tagged my friend Janine. She sets us up. Grow a smart kid with values. I love it. So he just loves reading to his son. And so if you know any dads, let him know. Okay, let's talk about the free printables. So this is brand new. I'm adding this just new this year. You're going to get access to over 20 plus printables, and we're adding new printables all the time. So you're going to get a special code that you get to type in, and you're going to get access to this huge library of seasonal printables. So if you need something extra to kind of go with the book and support that, then we have it available. There's reading logs. There are special reading routine printables. There's some reading tips and a bunch of other things that you can find in the printable library. Another bonus that you'll get is the first 10 people will be getting a free cinch bag. And then if you join by the 15th, you'll get entered to win. You'll get extra entries into our $300 book shopping spree. Okay, there are monthly options, so you can join monthly and then you can cancel anytime. So definitely go to bit.ly/RRR book club and use the code early23 to get $5 off, and then you'll be entered to win. You'll get the extra entries and you'll get the cinch bag and all of the bonuses. Okay. All right. So here is one more from Carissa. She says, I love getting new books to entertain my littles with, and they look forward to seeing what they got. These books have fostered a love of reading with both of my little girls, and I love that their go-to toys are now books. We love books and we love being in the club. I love it. Awesome. So that's from Carissa. She's been in the club for quite some time. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Let me know. If you are just now joining me, I will post the replay so that you can learn all the tricks of the trade that I covered earlier. But if you have any questions about the club, if you have any questions about your child specifically and what will help motivate them to read or what you can do to foster those kinds of things, let me know in the chat and I can address those things. And if we cut off here or you're on the replay, just leave a comment below and I will come back and let you know my answer. All right, guys, if you have any other things you want to share just about if you're in the book club and you want to share about your experience, I'd love to hear from you as well. And tomorrow is the last day of the challenge. So make sure that you comment and I'll be announcing another daily giveaway winner. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you and happy reading. Bye.